Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Tier 5 premium tank, the Panzer IV Hydro. This tank is a very hard to acquire vehicle. You have to actually buy like a special World of Tanks copy from Ukraine, or buy a World of Tanks mouse like I did to get your paws on this tank. So the main differences between this and a Panzer IV is that the back of the tank looks kind of like a Porsche designed Volkswagen Beetle. This is where your Hydro Stadt transmission will sit. The rest of the tank is pretty standard fare Panzer IV, and just to make things fair, the Belarusians left the doors open for the shots to go through the sides of the turret for you. So thank them for that. Some of the main differences between this and a regular Panzer IV is you got 550 hit points compared to 460 with the Panzer IV, about the same weight, 50 less horsepower, which gives you a little bit worse horsepower per ton ratio, but you also have a way better top speed of 48 compared to 40, and you have 40 for your traverse speed instead of 30. The front of the tank has 30 less armor on the front, upper, and lower plates. And you've got crap armor on the sides, crap armor in the back. So don't plan on bouncing virtually anything from anybody with the hull or even the turret of this tank. You might eat something with the spaced armor, but don't really count on it too much. Glancing blows from the top of your hatch can take you out fairly easily, so be careful with this tank. The next thing we'll take a look at is the turret traverse speed is 44, which is great. You'll have no problem circling people and getting your turret to come around on them, no problem at all. Your view range is 330, which is slightly worse than the regular Panzer IV, but not by much. And your signal range is 620, which is also pretty decent. Take a look at the crew here. This is the crew for my Panther II. I use this, and I use my Panzer IV as training tanks, and they perform admirably. The modules I've chosen to take are a rammer and the gun lang drive, so I aim and load a little bit quicker, and I also take binos, or alternatively you could probably take vents or additional grousers for better performance on crappy ground. So last thing we'll take a look at is the gun. This is the standard fare 75mm with 14 rate of fire. You're going to fire about 4 seconds. You've got 110 normal pen, 160 pen with your APCR, and 110 damage across the board. 0.39 accuracy sounds bad in numbers wise, but I find this tank is actually fairly accurate, and in practice it works quite well. Your aiming time is 2.3, so that's not bad either. And that's going to be just about it for the garage preview. You can see that it looks pretty nice in the brand new, well, not brand new, but fairly still new updated garage that Wargaming has put out. And other than that, we're going to jump into some games, and you can see how this thing's going to perform. All right, here we go. Loading into our first match. This is Crimea, South Coast. As you can see, accelerating downhill, not too bad. Can get up to pretty high top speed, actually. I'm doing about 55. I checked the gun depression in my gun depression program, and this thing actually has -10, which is pretty bloody fantastically awesome, which explains why I like it so much. And I'd also like to mention that the only way to get this tank is seemingly to get one gifted to you by Wargaming, or to buy, the way I got it was to buy the Razer mouse, the World of Tanks branded mouse, because I needed a new mouse, and I thought, you know, might as well get one with the, you know, tank stuff on it. And it's got a cool glowing World of Tanks logo. I have a review of it on the channel, so if you'd like to see it, that's where you can go take a look. So I'm over here all by myself, on my lonesome, and the last thing I feel like doing is rushing up to the top of this housed area to try and take all these tanks on myself, because there will be tanks over here typically, so you've got to play fairly intelligently with this tank, because it doesn't, the armor doesn't hold up fairly well, and you'll see that even against the Covenanter. It has troubles at times. But the gun at close range is fairly accurate. So I spot this Covenanter, and I'm just going to like roll back and forth, not do too much here, but there's also a T-25 over there as well, so I gotta be fairly careful. And I managed to take a couple shots there that hit the very top of my hatch on my tank. So, unfortunate. So, before I even know it, I'm down 100 hit points. And the other one looked like it went through the side. So I'm just taking it easy, taking it easy. And it's at this point where I'm kind of figuring that there's probably not too many guys over here. So I decided to start pushing up a bit. I do know there's a T-25 over here, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to aim in. 108 damage to him, and now he's going to back up. I'm going to hit him again. See, the accuracy of the gun when you fully aim it isn't too bad at all. And what that T-25 is going to do is drop off the back of that hill and run away, because I don't actually see him for the rest of the game. And I'm pretty sure that I got spotted from some hiding tank on the side of the hill over there. So I'm going to come up here with my gun to the left. Kind of preparing to see him. But he's gone. He's gone down into the middle over here, where he's going to run into our Crusader and get his face kicked in. Now I've got shots at the keyhole. He takes a shot, gets him down to 2 HP, and I was there. I was aiming at him already, so I just took the shot, took him out. So now I've got to use the speed of this tank to try and get up around these heavies in the back of their base. So I'm going to blitz all the way around here as fast as I can go. And the nice thing about this tank is how fast it is. So as you can see, hauling us down the hill. Regular Panzer IV probably wouldn't be going this fast. It took the power of the hydrostatic transmission to do this. That wasn't German, that was Russian accent. 9! Okay, so I've almost managed to climb my way up behind the BDR and the Churchill 1 that was covering their base. Alright, apologies for the sound comping out there, but I had some problems with my shadow play, so I'm going to do narration from this point, but you won't get any sound. So I'm coming up behind the BDR, I'm going to put a shot on the back of his turret, and he's not really paying attention to me well enough, and he's going to try and back up, but that's not going to save him, and he's going to go down. So, BDR down. So that leaves me coming up behind the Churchill 1, which is part of a clan that I think has a YouTube channel as well, the SSGS2 something clan. So I'm going to shoot him in his tracks and say goodbye to your mobility, and that's going to spell the end of his day. So I'm going to try and hit him one more time, and no, KV-1's going to take him out. So instead of heading over to the cap and just capping this thing out, I know that there is a KV-1 and a T-14 heading towards our base, and when there's nothing left to do in the game and you're in a medium tank, the best thing you can do is try and rack up some more damage and kills. So we've got a guy on cap, so this pretty much leaves me wide open to try and take these guys on. So I'm going to drive over the top of the hill and spot a T-14. Gun is good enough to pen the front of a T-14, especially shooting at his machine gun weak spot, and he's not shooting prim rounds at me, so I actually think I bounced a shot from him there, which is pretty amazing considering I have no armor and he has 92 pen. So I'm going to use the mobility of this tank to creep up back to the base, and as you can see, we've got a tier 3 tank who is defending the flag with all of his might. Just did 50 damage to that KV-1, which is pretty impressive. So I'm going to creep my way up over the top. This is where the power to weight ratio on the engine isn't fantastic. Climbing hills is not the forte of the Panzer IV Hydro. So we're going to get up and around the corner and try and steal all this buckaroo's capture points. Take them all away. So I've switched over to APCR because penning the turret on a KV-1 is a little bit iffy sometimes with 110 pen. So I'll put 2 shots into his turret, and he seems content with shooting at our KV-1S for whatever reason, instead of shooting the medium tank that has no armor. Maybe he's never seen one of my tank before. But he's shooting and he's missing, so I'll take that. He's going to put 1 shot into me there, and that's going to be it. And we win the game. Ended up doing like 1,700 damage in this game, 4 kills, and a little bit on the end of the day for the defender points. So as you can see, the Panzer IV Hydro is a pretty decent vehicle. It gets around and has no problem. You also can see where some of those shots went through the front of the armor on the tank, a little bit through the spaced armor on the turret, but generally all around, Panzer IV Hydro puts up the numbers. Alright, next battle I'm going to show is on steps, and another thing I forgot to mention actually about the Panzer IV Hydro is that it has preferred matchmaking. I don't see tier 7 tanks, I only see tier 6s. So that is actually pretty fantastic. Not having to shoot at T-29s is pretty nice. I've got some shots at this Wolverine. His armor is not fantastic, and we're able to take him down. And not too much to shoot at these fellas yet. Looks like there's a KV-1 who's up there, but chances of hitting him and penning him through the front of his turret, not super fantastic. Bounce one off his turret. And we got a Matilda. We can pen Matilda fairly easily. So see, the accuracy of the gun's not perfect. I'm hitting a little bit of dirt there. Bounce a shot off the front of the Matilda's turret. He can actually pen me actually a fairly bit easier than I can pen him. So it's at this point that I decide I'm going to move up a little bit, and I'm going to try and deal with some of these guys on the high ground before they drop down and shoot our guys in the low ground. So I stop. Nice shot through the side of the turret on the Matilda, and then he gets taken out by a Crusader. Now there's a whole bunch of tanks down, and there's a KV-1, a Covenanter, a Crusader, and a Matilda, so we've got to be fairly careful with what we're doing. So I've taken a few shots here, and I really want to get rid of that Matilda because his DPM is annoying. Trying to stay alive. I'm trying to get in front of our Crusader just to take hit points. And Crusader's bouncing on me, which is nice. So I'm gonna pop up, put another shot into him. I think he's shooting HE at me, which is kind of odd. Put a shot into KV-1. Managed to shoot some dirt. And I'm getting tired of bouncing with KV-1. I need to be able to do some more damage to him, or he's just going to come around and screw us up. So managed to kill that guy. Now it's just the KV-1 and then another heavy tank that has crept up behind us to the left. But he just died, so the DW2 is down. I don't have to worry about him. I'm taking way too many hits here, so I've got to be pretty careful with what I'm doing, and managed to take that KV-1 down. And that pretty much just leaves an Electo back in the back of the map. Shot into him. Things are looking pretty okay at this point. Let's see where I've taken my shots. Most of them just right through the front of the turret, right through the gun matlet, scraping, even overmatching the top of the tank on the top of the turret there. But it was pretty neat to see that I did actually manage to bounce a couple shots, but I think that was just down to the fact that I think some of them were shooting HE when they really shouldn't have been. So you can see coming over that hill there, I was able to keep my gun down really effectively because of the great gun depression. And before I can get over to kill any of these guys, ooh, there goes our one of our allies. And he's down. Alright, last game. we are on the worst map in the game, Malinovka, and I'm going to head over to probably the best spot to be on with a medium tank. When you're on the side, which is over into the D5 area, and we managed to spot a T1 Heavy coming through the middle. Just going to shoot normal rounds at him. I'm going orange when I'm shooting with my normal AP rounds, so if I pen, it's usually because I'm going to roll high. So I'm bouncing. And not too great of shots here. I just put another one through his turret. And I'm going to take a blind one just because. And that one didn't go in. And that one bounced on his side. Put another one into his side. And he's probably going to go down fairly quick here. Not the smartest moves from a T1 Heavy. Not a really good idea to go broadside with your heavy tank through some water in that part of the map. Just generally not very smart. You'll notice that this is the worst matchmaking this tank can get. It only ever has to go up against tier 6s, but the gun's decent enough that you can pen most of these tanks fairly easily. So I managed to hit that Cromwell, do damage to him, almost take the T1 Heavy out single-handedly. So, not too shabby. What I am going to do is I'm going to let my team spot a little bit more for me, because I can count on my ability to hit tanks from far away where some people might not be able to. Managed to bounce 2 shots in the Cromwell. Come on, the Cromwell's armor is not that good. And I don't know where that shot went. Alright, rolled a 99. Good job. Alright, so I know the Cromwell's still there. Take another shot, and then I'm going to take another shot. Because, honestly, he might still be there. And looks like we've got an ELC that wants to try and take me out, but ended up getting some help from our T-34-85 friend, who happened to be, I don't know where he was. He was somewhere. Oh, he was back there. So that was nice. Now it's time to move up, because we're falling behind a little bit. The next thing you want to do on Malinovka is, if you're able to figure out that there's not too much here and you're not going to get sniped down from the hill since we've pretty much taken it, is to try and get to this ridge over here. So I'm going to pop over there with my T-34-85 friend and use the gun depression on this tank to not show hardly anything of it and still be able to fire in on these guys. So I'm going to stop and get a lucky shot in. That Cromwell just backed right into my shell. So pretty lucky on that one. And they do have 2 artilleries, and this thing is an artillery magnet. It has no armor, basically. So you've got to be pretty careful with not... You can get spotted, but you want to stay rolling around like a moron as much as you can. Alright, managed to put a shot into that guy. Find the Type 58. Gonna hit him, track him in place. And again, apologies for the sound comping out. I don't know why it did that. So we're going to do narration again from my capturing program. So I'm going to take some shots at this artillery here. And as you can see, still pretty accurate, even at fairly long ranges. About 500-meter shots there. So I'm more than happy with letting our T-34-85 take the lead at this point, because this is a support tank. And we've pretty much got this one in the bag. So at this point, you pretty much just want to try and rack up as much damage and kills as you can. So I'm going to aim in on this T-40, put a shot into him, and unfortunately don't roll high enough to kill him. I thought someone was going to kill him there, so I start shooting at the Nashorn instead. So take out the Nashorn, and then I'm going to try and pre-aim enough in front of that guy, but I didn't aim in front of him enough, and he ends up getting taken out. So take one last shot into the Chi-2 there. More than capable enough of penetrating that medium tank. No problem whatsoever at all. And just going to run through a quick spiel on the Panzer IV Hydro now. I think this is a really really fantastic tank. Like between the great matchmaking, you don't see a tier 7s. You got great gun depression. You've got good speed, turns well. I like the L48 gun. It seems to be a pretty decent, solid performing gun for me and how I like to play. The mobility of the tank is good. It has no problems getting around the maps. The ground resistance seems to be pretty strong. The places where this tank does struggle is the armor isn't very strong. It can get penned through the turret really easily. The sides and the back are like paper. And the other things you need to worry about is the power to weight ratio isn't great for climbing hills. So you're going to watch out for that. But other than that, the Panzer IV Hydro is a really strong tank. If you can get your paws on one, then it's worth it. It's a lot of fun, and you get decent credit output. It's good for training tanks, and if you can pile this thing up with a Panzer IVs and use that to train up like a Panther II crew, like what I'm doing right now, you can get like 3x3s a day out of it. So just that alone is pretty cool. And I didn't even actually get the mouse to get this tank. It just was kind of there. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. And I don't regret it at all. It's a lot better than a regular Panzer IV. I was never into using the 105 on the regular Panzer IV anyway. So just in general, I think this is a really fun tank. And if you can manage to snap one up, do it. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.